Record. Welcome. So glad everybody could join us. It's coming right up to the top of the hour. We are flipping over right now, which is noon Eastern, 9 o'clock a.m. Pacific. My name is Jim Tanner. I'm going to be your host today. We got a lot of information for you. We're going to keep letting people in. Somebody help me push that button, some of you. And we got to set up so folks can't unmute except for our co-hosts that are either here to speak or are going to be helping with the Zoom today to make sure that it goes smoothly. But you can turn your camera on if you'd like to, and you can certainly jump in the chat, and we'd love to have you jump in the chat. Actually, just test it out right now for us by sharing where you're zooming in from as we kick off today. For those of you that are here live, if you're watching the recording, we're glad you're watching it, but you can push all the buttons you want. We're not going to see any of it. So for those of you that are here with us live today, join us in the chat, share where you are joining us from. And we're going to be talking about events that are coming up throughout the week, trainings and opportunities. We're going to be talking about how you can position yourself in the coming days, weeks, and months, especially as we finish up the year 2023. And to get started with that, we're going to go to my good friend, Johnny Jones, who's kind of got like a reoccurring thing. If this was Good Morning America, this would be like we'd have to have a set built for him at this point. But he's going to come in and he's going to talk to us about what's going on in the world of small business. This is the expert, ladies and gentlemen. So not only does he know what to do and he does it, but he's also plugged in. He's mainlining all of the information from the home office and from the field on exactly what's working. So we want to go to you, Mr. Johnny Jones, to hear from you today. Take it away, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. I always appreciate the opportunity to be here and serve. I don't know how many people are familiar with Simon Sinek, but Simon Sinek did a training a few years ago. And one of the things he talked about in the training were there was four different categories of people. There was the innovators. That's the top 2 to 3% of anything and anyone. They are the ones that get started before they even know the rules. They just get started. They hear something new. They go after that. Then there's the early adopters. That's about 15 to 17%. They're the ones that don't get started as quick, but they get started before everybody else because they say, oh, this makes sense to me. Let me run while they figure it out to get in position. Then there's the majority. That's about 68%. Then there's what he called the laggards, which is about 15%. Those are the ones that have to see everybody win before they say, I guess I'll take a chance. That's why they typically miss most opportunities. The reason why I brought that up is there's some changes that are coming over the next 90 days. And these changes that are coming are going to be phenomenal. But some people hear change and they get scared. They get nervous because they don't want to change because I'm comfortable where I'm at. But Mr. Tanner can tell anybody better than I can that you make most of your success and your money outside of the comfort zone. When you get uncomfortable, that's where it all happens. And so you're starting to see little things that are coming out now about full service associates. You're hearing things about small business, small group. And these are the things that are going to impact people at a very big level. And the reason why is because, first of all, full service associates, a lot of times we recruit people and put them where we are, or we put them where we think they should go, instead of letting them find themselves. Had this been in place when I came in, I'd have been a small business 14 and a half years ago. But I came in and they put me in the networking and I did whatever and I tried to figure it out. And then I found out, oh, we got business solutions. I jumped over there. Well, they actually volunteered me to go over there. And then I went over there, started working out. And then I found out about small business. And I'm like 6 years into business and I found out we can do small business. But now they want to have it so a brand new associate can get a sample size of everything before they commit to anything. And once they're able to do that, they're going to learn from the beginning how to do small business, how to do a little touch of employee benefits, how to do CDL. They're going to understand the different areas of our business. And then once they make a decision, I like that, then they can go to another class, which will allow them to get advanced training. And so that's going to come out and that's going to launch. That stuff is going to launch starting in January, but it's going to be a class, a curriculum. And people say, well, I'm already certified in small business. I'm already certified in group. Take the new class. Why? You need to see the new rules. You need to know the new level of engagement that you should have. So it's going to come out there and it's going to teach you how to build that. And you see full service because a lot of times people want to be full service. I want to be able to do anything and offer anything that our company offers, but everything's at the same time. So small business, employee benefits, prospecting, everything is at the same time. So now you have to pick and choose. What if you don't have to pick and choose anymore? What if you've been good at everything and you can find that I can sell this, but I can also sell that. And I may be better at this, but I'm gonna still do that too, because every dollar that touches my table is going to go into my bank account. And so what if you had the ability to do that? And so that's going to come. There's so many trainings now, but what we find is that people are not plugged in enough because they don't even know about the stuff that we have going on right now. So we want to open up and make sure that everybody understands everything. We got real creative in small business. We created a Dropbox just for small business. And we said, instead of having to go to Ellis Engage and hope that what you're looking for is there, we created a folder that allows people to go in there and see everything. And it's got, we broke it down into folders within the Dropbox for everything. When you first log in, there's a calendar that we update every single month with everything on there. It has all the times, the day of the week, and the links to everything that we do. Did you know that Monday through Friday from noon, at noon, is a opportunity overview to, if you're recruiting and building a team, you can invite there. But if you just want them to see the small business membership, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time and 11 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday, there's a small business membership overview. And Thursday night, there is an opportunity overview at 7 p.m. for those that can't make it during the day. And on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, there is a opportunity overview for those that can't make it during the week. And so we put those things in place. But we also have two trainings. We have a prospect training, skills training that's every last Tuesday of the month. So tomorrow there's going to be a training specifically on how to build your skills up. And in this one, it's going to talk about how to prospect. What is your scripts? And I don't like scripts. I like to be conversational, but I literally have more scripts in this training than I've ever used at any other time because people want to see it on the screen. So we actually have trainings on how to invite somebody and prospect, or what does that script look like for in person, on the phone, on LinkedIn. If I use text messages, so we have scripts related to all that. That's going to be there. But we also decided that we wanted to have a training the second Tuesday of every month that specifically talks to product. And product is the hardest thing because if you don't know the product, you can't present. Everybody wants the new deck, and the new deck is amazing. But I can tell you that if you don't know the product, the new presentation won't matter because you got to be able to answer the questions after you present. So you can read the slides, you can do that. But if you can't answer the questions, what good was that, right? Now you say, well, let me call somebody. But wait, you're the expert, but you got to call. It really doesn't go right. So you should understand how it works. Plus, here's the thing that I know. If I watch your presentation, I can tell you if you know the membership. What you say, how you say it, how you phrase things tells me everything I need to know about you. And so that's the thing that I've learned is that people need to learn the membership, learn exactly how it works, why it works, what it does, and how you do all that. And so we're super excited about what's coming. And the tip of the iceberg is this. I'm telling you to be an innovator. I'm telling you to be in the top 2 to 3% of the world. I'm telling you that a new thing is coming. Position yourself to get ready for the new thing. Redo your list before even the classes come out. And when you rebuild your list, anybody that you ever sold a membership to should be on your list. Everybody that's not on your list, that's never been on your list, should be on your list. Everybody. Why? Because you need to segment them. If you sold them a membership, you need to check to see if they like it. If they like it, they can give you referrals. And if they give you referrals, you want a referral in every segment that you do. If you say, I don't do CDL, well, what if you have 5 truck drivers right now that are ready to buy a plan from somebody? They're going to buy it. They're just not going to buy from you if you don't offer it. So you want to be able to do that. The other thing you want to do is early adopters are the ones that say, you know what? I'm not quite ready to move, but let me go ahead anyway. Let me figure this out on the way. And the reason why I can see like a Jim Tanner, I can see like a Darnell Self, I can see like a Brian Carruthers, a Melissa Peters, because they were in those the top they were in the top 19% of the world. They actually moved on it probably before they were ready to move on it, probably before they even had a thought of how this was going to work out. They took those steps and they actually moved forward. I'm telling you to be the same way for your business right now, because when we go to convention, you will be so excited that you took advantage to be able to step forward and do those things. So I'm telling you to go on faith, not go on what you see, because the present has no indication of what your future is going to hold. So you want to be able to move forward and do those things. And the last thing I will say as I get ready to go out there are going to be a lot of new trainings that are going to come out. In-person trainings, there are going to be a lot of virtual trainings. There are going to be a lot of different things. Take as much as you can, because this new wave is not going to be just small business. You heard me say small business, small group. Because every time you talk to a small business owner, if they have employees, you should be getting everything. that business owner should be buying everything. Because here's what happens. Jim Tanner goes in there, he talks to the business owner, sells a small business plan. 2 years later, I come in and close out with the employee benefits. I thank Jim Tanner for actually setting them up for me, but then I go close it because that's money on the table. But all of that should go to the original associate. But if you don't know how to have that conversation, then you don't get that. We're going to teach you how to have that conversation. So from now on, every dollar that passes by you can be in your bank account. It's all up to you. And with that, Mr. Tanner, I will give it back to you.
Mr. Jones, thank you so much. I just love having you drop in and drop bombs of knowledge on us. So I appreciate that. Also, obviously, your energy as we go forward with this and all of the training and support you're giving to the field means the world to us. So we thank you. And you'll see in the chat how appreciative everybody is of your work that you're doing for us. And we're going to continue to talk about this idea. Small group, small business, full service associate. This is a conversation that's going to continue to happen here on Mondays because this is really the hub of that. You know, for far too long, and Mr. Jones knows this too, for far too long, we would jump into what we thought was the uniform we were supposed to wear. I'm a group person. I'm a network person. And what ultimately happens is we are not serving our community to our fullest capacity, not building our business to our fullest capacity when we do that. And it's a simple error in judgment, but it has compounded for many people over time. And we have course corrected on that like never before. We have simple communication, beautiful imagery and collateral material, and a conversation that the business owner and the talent that works at that business can both understand. So the value proposition has never been more clear, and the way we go to the market has never been more clear, which really sets us up for what we're going to be talking about for about the next 10 minutes or so, because I've gotten two people to help me today, both folks that are market leaders in their region. So we have Sonora Danzler in Colorado Springs, Colorado. She's going to be joining us, as well as Venus Powers, who's doing the same work in South Carolina. So I got both sides of the country. These are individuals that stepped out there last year. I'm going to give you a quick history lesson. Last year, you've heard me say, many of you, if you've been in any trainings, that Dave Savula built this nationwide international network of weekly meetings so that we could plug into these weekly meetings. And then what happened was COVID, we shut it all down and we went to Zoom. So we didn't stop meeting. We just stopped meeting in person. And we thought, I was one of those people who thought in 2020, wow, you know, we haven't missed a step. This is, you know what some of us said, this is actually better because more people are showing up to the Zooms than we're showing up in person. So we got this false sense of growth because there was more people. By the way, it wasn't just Legal Shield. The same thing happened at my church. Some of you can relate to this at your church. The churches went online and other things too, but I just know from my church community, everything went online. We said, wow, more people are coming to the Zoom than they were coming before, and people that moved away could come. And so it was a false sense of growth. And in my church, you know, we invested a lot of money in infrastructure and technology because we thought it was the future. And in our company, we invested a lot of money in infrastructure and technology because we believed that it would be the future. Well, it turns out that the future is not what we used to do. The future is not everything virtually. It's something in the middle. Because one thing that we know in our business that hasn't changed is that live events create cohesion and make money. You know, we used to say meetings make money. Well, you have to be clear about what a meeting is today. In-person events create this glue and cohesion, social proof that nothing else can take the place of. Zoom is better than conference calls. I love that we can see each other. I love that we're going to show you some slides. We can do that here. And this is better than our old system of conference calls, which we all relied on. Even though Zoom was a thing, we relied on deep into early 2020 until everything moved to Zoom. We were doing conference calls. We could hear each other. We couldn't see each other. We didn't know what each other looked like until we got to the event. But now we have Zoom, and Zoom is great, but it's not as good as what we can have. So I know I'm talking a lot, but I want to set this up. So I'm going to have both of these folks join me here and talk about what they do. But I also wanted to talk about this Coffee with Jim phenomenon that's happening on Thursdays. And maybe I'm going to start with you, Sonora Danzler, if you want to jump in, because Sonora Danzler and Venus Powers both just kind of do exactly what Johnny Jones said, which is like they leap in and then they figure it out later. So these are two people. I talked about those live events going away. when we started 1 year ago saying we got to bring the live events back, both of them said, I'm in. I don't know what I'm in for. I don't know what I'm agreeing to, but I will do it in my community. And so that's what you both did, Sonora and Venus. And I want to start with you, Sonora Danza. I'd love for you to talk about kind of the mindset. If you can think back to when you got started putting the Colorado Springs events together, what you were thinking then, and maybe you want to talk a little bit about what it is versus what you thought it might be now that you're deep into it all these months later.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody, and great morning. So, you know what? Mr. Tanner actually hit it right on the nose. So, almost a year ago, when I did exactly what he said, which was jumped right into it, I had no idea what I was doing. As a matter of fact, I was extremely petrified, not just scared, but completely petrified. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what I was supposed to do and anything else. I just did it. I followed actually the system that our leaders have put in place for us. As you heard Mr. Tanner talk about, Mr. Dave Savola talked about, just get to live in-person events. So that's exactly what I did. I put together events that would be great for anyone to come to, for prospects, for associates that are getting back into the game, for associates that been around forever. And I just did it. So I just kind of figured it out, as Mr. Tanner just said, along the way. And here we are almost a year ago now, and I'm still doing events. So I've learned a little bit of what to do, what not to do, how to make it better, how to get people out to the events, how to promote the events, and all the different things that goes there. And then Mr. Tanner just mentioned something that we just recently started doing, which is coffee with Jim. And the great part about it is that you could also do it. So you don't have to try to figure it out or what should I do and everything else. It's as simple as, find a coffee shop that's in your area, or tea, or whatever your favorite drink is, and invite people to come out. Take your laptop with you, get on the Zoom, and Mr. Tanner does the full presentation for you. So he's going to talk to everybody that's there live and in person, give them all of the information so they can see about our products, our services, and the opportunity. Why not let Mr. Tanner do all the work for you and you get all the muscles? It's just that simple. And just to give you a little bit of a background of how I do that information and how I'm getting the information out to everybody, it's 3 little simple steps, and that's what I currently do. So something that I do first is I call people. Yes, you got to do a little bit of work, get on the phone and call people. A lot of times you're just going to get like voicemails, and that's okay. So you leave them a quick voicemail and invite them to the event. The same thing, like if you were telling them about a blockbuster movie that came out, you told people to go see the Barbie movie, I don't know, or whatever it was that's exciting and fun to you. So you call them, leave them a voicemail, and you text people. Yeah, because sometimes people don't check their voicemails for days in a month. Yeah, exactly. And then also you email them. So I actually do all 3 of those things to people. I call them, I text them, and I email them on all of my events. Something else that I used, which is really big because I'm inviting people all across the United States and in Canada. And what better way to get to those people than social media? So I promote on every platform of social media. And I'm not necessarily saying that you've got to do that, but that works for me and that's what I do. And then I also invite them privately too, because they'll ask me, what is it all about or something like that. So I'll invite them privately and tell them hey, jump on it. And then it also allows them to register as well. I use Eventbrite when I'm trying to keep a track of everybody that's attending, and it lets them put on there where they're attending from, who invited them, how they heard about the information. So then that way I can kind of keep a tally of where my people are getting the information from and how they learned about the event. And then that last one, number 3, is I promote from event to event. So every time that I am in front of whoever, it does not matter. I'm promoting from event to event. So if I'm attending an event, then I'm telling you right now, this Thursday at 9:45 in Colorado Springs, live at the Briargate Panera Bread, you want to stop in for coffee with Sonora and Jim. It's as simple as come on in. I'd love to meet you in person. If you can't come in person, then that's okay. We want you to go to agesoftangezzoom.com and you can join us virtually, and it doesn't matter where you are. So come on in, have a cup of coffee with myself and Jim Tanner to learn about an amazing company and a fabulous opportunity. We want to see you there. And that's all that I do. So I promote from event to event, wherever I am, whenever I'm talking, I promote into my next event, whatever that next event is. Thanks a lot, Mr. Tanner, for letting me share with everybody. I'll turn it all back to you.
Thank you. We're going to come back to you again, Sonora. And Venus, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your thoughts, because, you know, I think if I'm correct, you were part of this world. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but there were events going on before COVID, and I believe you were with us then.
Yeah.
And so you saw that world, and then you saw it shut down, and now you are one of the people bringing it back. So maybe you could talk a little about that as well.
Yeah, I've worked from home for 18 years. And so when I got involved with Legal Shield, when I say work from home, I mean, the only reason I left my house was to go to the grocery store and to church. I mean, I was like a hermit. And when I use the term Amazon knows my address, like their trucks have a homing device to my house. So when Legal Shield came along and they talked about live events, my former life before being a stay-at-home mom, I was an event planner. So I traveled all over the United States. So it was nothing for me to be in, 3 cities or 4 cities across the country a week, in a week. And so I came to Legal Shield and I learned that was their culture, was for you to be at live events, learn from different leaders, bring people from all across the country. And there's no limits on where we can recruit, or where we can build a team, or where we can sell to a business. That was incredible to me, because I come from a very structured sales career where there were named accounts, there were specific territories, and you didn't tread in someone else's pond, but Legal Shield changed all that, not just for me, but for everyone who's here. The opportunity is endless. And for people to not understand that vast opportunity I don't understand that closed-mindedness. And so I love the new events. And I have to tell you that when COVID came and we all got shut down and sent home, I was probably one of the most miserable people, because, I'm a busybody and I just like to be doing stuff all the time. And when we were able to come back to live events, poor Corey Muhammad, I don't think he knew what to do with me, because I did not stop talking to him until he let me do something important. And so, if I was at any meeting, any event, anywhere across the country, and Corey was in an elevator, he was like, her. And I'm like, yep, me. And so he's my MVP for my region. So that's why I say Corey. And, now we have a great plan. I have a great core group of people here in Columbia, South Carolina, and they're growing and expanding. And, people who haven't been involved in Legal Shield in several years have come back to come to the events that we hold. And that's just so refreshing. And the fact that you can open your laptop most any time of the day and use most any leader in the organization as a live presentation. But, we love it. The energy, or the way that we do it with Jim's, Coffee with Jim, it's a synergy, because a week before Jim announced he was going to do this, my team was like, we need to get out more. We can't just have one event a week, one place where we're bringing people. People need to see us, they need to see us in the community. So I was like, why don't we go to a different restaurant for lunch each week and do a presentation there, have all of our flyers, and just sit there and, have lunch together, have our Legal Shield shirts on, just so people are seeing us. And on Monday morning, we were talking with Jim and Sonora, or I was talking with Jim and Sonora, and they were talking about, going to these events. And then I noticed that I was sitting there scouring, trying to find which restaurants would be great, which restaurants would not. And Sonora's like, well, I'm at Panera. and I looked at the map of Columbia, and there are 7 Paneras all around Columbia. So we're round robining Columbia, doing what we call the Panera pop-up. And now Michael Murphy is going to do the same thing with one of their other leaders in Raleigh, Durham, and Winston-Salem. And so he's doing a Panera pop-up on Saturdays. And so Panera better love us, I'm going to tell you, because we're creating some business and advertising for their company. But I think that it just brings people together, and it gets people out of their house. You know, people think they can just do this all day and they're going to be vastly successful. And some of them are, but not everyone can feed off of that energy. You know, not everyone, you know, because as soon as this Zoom's over, you know, somebody's going to go, it'd be me, go change the laundry. And then they're going to get sidetracked with something else, and they're going to get sidetracked with something else. And they're not going to remember that this is a people company. You know, we have to get out to the people. And if your business isn't being successful by you sitting at home and looking at a computer screen and inviting people to Zooms, then get out and go walk your community, go to an event, go to a chamber of commerce, you know, go somewhere that you're not comfortable. And, you know, I, as social as I am not comfortable in a room full of strangers unless they're Legal Shield people. I mean, I'll be everybody's friend by the end of the event, but you know, you have to really step outside of where you're comfortable in order to be successful in this company. And I think that that's what these live events are doing. And, you know, Sonora and I are the people who are like the people who are going to do those kind of things. And so, you know, you just have to have that mindset and, you know, get up in the morning, have your coffee, and leave your house, go sit somewhere in a coffee shop and do something, you know?
Venus, I think that's great advice. I'm going to come back to both of you. I want to respect everybody's time, but there's a few things I want to talk about this Coffee with Jim thing, and I want to hear from both of you again, because you set it up so beautifully, whether it was just, you know, the right timing or what. But the reason I wanted to do this, I just want to share this with you, because this goes all the way back to when I got started in the business. We had a method of launching new associates called a private business reception. In a private business reception, the whole point was you would, so if I recruited Sonora into my business and she was launching a business and she was serious about getting started quickly, then we would have her invite everybody over to her house and have her. Now, if I was local to her, which I'm not, but if I was local to her, I would come over also, and we would play the tape. It was a tape, it was a VHS tape called Balance of Power, and it was basically it was the private business reception presentation. Today, the same thing is Darnell Self and Liz Fu. It's the same thing. 20 minutes, goes through everything you need to know. You play the tape for this group of people in your living room, and then the expert handles the close. So the expert's in the room, or in, like, again, in this example, I live across the country, so I would have called in on the telephone, and Sonora put me on speakerphone. It's a little clunky, but it worked. And so the technology, it was like high tech and high touch. High touch, everybody's in your living room. High tech, you're playing a tape, you're not doing the presentation, so that people don't try to see the business through you, the person they know, because you've lived a whole life of experiences with this group of people in your living room, and they might see you as something else other than the Legal Shield expert. So you let the people in the tape do the presentation, the third party expert comes in and does the close, and guess what? That worked marvelously. It had gotten the company to 1 million customers before I even got here. It was massively successful. Now, time went on and things changed, but today we have people doing private Zooms, right? You hear this, private Zoom. It's the same thing as the old PBR. The missing component, though, is like this meeting, which is fine. Everybody's on Zoom. There's no community. There was no cohesion. There was no social proof. There was no people in the living room to combine that with. So that's how we got to the Coffee with Jim idea, which is that if you will just invite people to a place, and that place in this example is a coffee shop, and I'll come back to why that is. Don't let me forget why that is, ladies. Don't let me forget to say that part, because I'll forget. We come back, we assemble people in a coffee shop. Now there's cohesion. There's people talking to people. There's people helping people, and you have this other person come in from outside and do the presentation, which means even though Sonora Danzler doesn't need me to do that, Venus Powers doesn't need me to do that, Johnny Jones doesn't need me to do that, and so many of others of you don't need me to do that. The pressure's off. because you can defer to an expert. That expert's going to do the presentation. He, in my case, he is going to put in testimonials from my own experiences using the services, my own experience having success in the business. All of that's there. And then I turn it back over to you as the person on the ground in the room with that group of people. And then boom, you're there to answer questions if they have them, or divert them back to a leader if you can't answer them. But mostly you're there to sign them up. And that's what I tell the people. Now, why are we doing it at coffee shops? Here's the reason. Because the Dave Savula system that we shut down was hotel conference rooms nationwide. And quite frankly, you're going to pay anywhere from $100 to a few $100s for a hotel conference room. And when you do that, when you pay $100 to a few $100s for a hotel conference room, and there's 4 people in that room, first of all, that costs you a lot of money for no reason. Second of all, the 4 people plus you in that room know that you expected more people in that room, right? I mean, they just know it, whether they talk about it or not. So the reason you're at Panera Bread, at a Pete's, at a Starbucks is because also the pressure's off there. Because if it's you plus 1 or 2 other people, that's plenty. That's the meeting. As a matter of fact, if it grows to be 20 people, what's going to happen is it'll splinter anyway. Because if you have 15 people at a coffee shop, that's probably too many. But what's going to happen is 7 of those people were driving all the way across town. So they'll just figure out that they could do the same thing at their coffee shop. And it will just naturally have a limit to the total size it can be. But you want to be at a coffee shop because there's no cost to you. Here's what you don't want to do. You don't go and talk to the manager and say, I want to do this. I'm telling you right now, the coffee shops are in the business of having people come in and sit down and drink coffee. They don't care if you watch a presentation while you're doing it, as long as you're there. They want people there, okay? You don't need the manager's permission. You're not putting up a big screen and a projector where you would want to talk to somebody. You're just meeting with people casually. So you don't have to ask anybody. You can move it around. You can do anything you want to do. You can graduate for certain and just do the presentation yourself and leave me out of it if you want to. But as I've said to folks, I'm going to start chasing this event around the country in 2024. So where you are establishing that you've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people, I'm going to come in, I'm going to fly in, and I'm going to do the event from your coffee shop, and then we'll broadcast it out to everybody else. So I think that will add some fun to it and an additional dimension. And I'm not afraid to come out. I'd love to come out. So where there's fire, we're going to pour gasoline on that fire as well. But I hope that this gives you encouragement that you personally can do this. Because can you go to a coffee shop with at least one other person? Yes. Can you turn on your computer and type in agentsofchangezoom.com? I'll bet you can. You can do these things. And that way you are part of the solution to a real challenge that we have as a company, which is to stand up these weekly smaller meetings, which feed into the monthly Super Saturday events, which feed into the super regionals, and then ultimately into our international convention. If you want to get back to, like I do, sold out international conventions where there's 1,000 people that couldn't get in and they're watching it on the screen. Johnny Jones knows those days, right? We put 1,000 people in a room off to the side watching it on closed circuit because we couldn't accommodate in the arena all of the people that wanted to be in attendance. Well, the only way we get back to that is by having all of the things that feed into that, which is introducing people at the local market level, exactly what it feels like to be a part of the culture of this community getting together. And if you're struggling in your business, I said Sonora and Venus, I'm going back to you, and I am. But I just want to say this because I'm going to give them the last words. If you're struggling in your business and you're not in a room with other people doing this with you, ask yourself, are you really in the business? One of our 10 core commitments is a weekly meeting. That is an in-person event because sometimes the meeting needs you and sometimes you need that meeting. And I encourage you to get to it. Sonora and Venus, I'm going to give you both. Sonora first, just so it's not awkward. Sonora and then Venus, we'll let you guys wrap it up for us today.
Hey, again, everybody, exactly like you heard Mr. Tanner say, and like I always say, hashtag you have got to be in the room. Doesn't matter where that room is. It could be locally. You can go across town as Miss Venus Power is usually doing traveling. Mr. Tanner is going to travel. I've been doing a little bit of traveling, but you have got to be in the room for exactly what Mr. Tanner just said. Sometimes you need that meeting or the meeting needs you. So just hashtag be in that room. I'll turn it over to you, Venus.
Be good if I would unmute, right? And some people will say, well, there's not a meeting in my town. Well, create one. Just show up at the coffee shop with your computer. You don't have to have, a whole group. The reason Jim started this is he used to sit at a coffee shop when he was in his early days of this business. I don't know if he mentioned that earlier, but he and Bill Sharon used to go to a coffee shop together. And sometimes it was just them. Sometimes someone would come sit down with them and wonder what they were doing. And that's where the idea derived from, if I'm correct, right, Jim? Yeah. And, you do have to create it. I mean, if you build it, they will come. That's a great idea. And for the Field of Dreams and Kevin Costner, it worked really great. But if you build it and you want a dream field, you have to advertise, you have to sell popcorn, you have to sell tickets, you have to let people know that they're there. You have to bring in the big stars, you have to bring in the great teams. Nobody's going to come and watch Bobby and Jimmy, play ball all day. They want to see, Hank Ryan. That's a person, right? That's a baseball person? No. Okay, never mind. Forget the sport. See, I know Babe Ruth was a baseball person. There we go. Okay. See, I'm not a sports person, but I will definitely be your best cheerleader, but I'm not going to play ball, except bowling. I'm really good at that. But, you really do have to be in the room. Sonora says it all the time, and I'm a big proponent of that. You have to show up. I go all kinds of crazy places just because there's a specific speaker that I want to hear and a specific group of people that I want to support. But more importantly, I want to teach my team that they're supposed to do it too. If they're not seeing me do it, why are they going to do it? Right? You have to be what you're telling people to be. And if you're saying, get off your couch on a Saturday, drive an hour and 50 minutes to a Super Saturday, then you better have your butt off that couch and at a Super Saturday. You can't tell somebody to do something you're not willing to do. And you can't lead someone somewhere you're not willing to go. And so, you have to be the leader, and you have to be the person who, pulls up your bootstraps and says, let's get it. There you go. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Sonora.
Thank you, guys. And so if you're looking for a place to go this weekend, look at LegalShowCalendar.com. And we encourage you to join us in the Coffee with Jim events on Thursdays. There's one this Thursday. Someone will put the flyer up as I'm wrapping up in the chat probably, but it's Thursdays. It's currently Thursdays, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific at agentsofchangezoom.com. And it will not be on Thursday, Thanksgiving, but otherwise we don't see any other stuff coming up in the near future that will preempt it. That's something you can count on and something that you can start plugging into. I will be this weekend on Friday and Saturday in Vancouver, British Columbia. Friday, I'm going to do a luncheon event for business owners in the community. We're going to talk to them about bringing Legal Shield and ID Shield in as a voluntary employee benefit, and of course the small business plan. And we're going to be talking to them about how having these services available to their employees helps them attract key talent and then hang on to that talent after they attracted them. So I'm going to do that for you and for all of the businesses in that community. I'm happy to do it. And then on Saturday, I'll be the guest speaker at the Vancouver Super Saturday event as well. And then there'll be other events coming up. I'll be in Phoenix, Arizona, December 9th for their Super Saturday. So we've got a lot going on. This year is not over. This month is not over. And we have a lot of work we're going to do as we continue to bring equal access to equal justice to every corner of every community across the United States and Canada with your help. Thanks so much to Sonora Danzler and Venus Powers and Johnny Jones. And for all of you, and listen, this is not the end of the day. It's the end of the Zoom, but it's the beginning of all the impact we're going to make. Go get them, everybody. Thank you.